How many shiny Pokemon would I get in Legend ZA before I finish an Area Lock Shiny Alpha challenge? This was a question I started asking myself after sinking over 200 hours into this game. Now, I've been a fan of Pokemon ever since Pokemon Red. Most people who know me in real life still ask me if I'm an actual Pokemon professor. The reality is a lot less exciting. Until ZA, I've never finished any regional Pokédex. And I've never even seriously considered shiny hunting outside of Pokemon Go. That was until Legend ZA came along, and I experienced just how crazy the odds were. More importantly, I enjoyed shiny hunting. I got into how cozy it felt to run down the street, hear that shiny sparkling sound, and see what shiny Pokemon showed up. I already watch a few Poketubers, and the thrill of coming across a shiny you're not expecting, shared with others, seemed magical to me. And I wondered if I could do something similar. I wondered if I could do something to stand out, if for no reason other than to answer that one single question. So I told my friends I wouldn't be home for several months, and started my journey. Zone 1 isn't one of my favorite zones, but I respect it. It sets out expectations for what's to come. Verticality, water boundaries, Pokemon variety and behaviors. But at the end of the day, it's still a very simple, straightforward zone, which is not how I'm playing this challenge. Because I've set a few ground rules for this shiny hunt. First, area lock rules. I can't go to another zone until I find a shiny alpha within it, all the way from zone 1 to zone 20. Second, no bench resets. If I wanted to tell how many normal shinies I got before I saw an alpha shiny, I need to check as many Pokemon as I can, which means doing a full lap of each zone before I'm allowed to use fast travel, and no mindlessly going up and down the tower in zone 3. Third, act like an actual shiny hunter. That means catching the shiny alpha in a suitably colored ball, giving it a nickname, and taking it to a cafe afterwards. And now, back to Zone 1. For all the trash talk I gave Zone 1, it's been pretty good to me in my disorganized wild zone shiny hunting. Aside from the free shiny Mareep everyone gets, the first shiny I got here was a Pichu, and a Bunnelby when the time of day changed on me. So honestly, I was expecting Zone 1 to be kind. What I was not expecting was how kind.
Oh, wow, okay, yeah, shiny Scatterbug, and I didn't even sub to PM7.
Now, to be fair, the normal shinies weren't the end goal. I was prepared for lulls in shinies. I wasn't prepared for when the opposite happened.
Well, there you are. That's another one. Mareep! Shiny! It's a shiny Mareep! Wait. Okay, yeah. Alright, sure. Whoa, okay,
4 shinies in 11 minutes was not something I expected from Zone 1. Or when this happened.
Huh? Okay, what? Who? What the? Not you. Not you. Not you. But who? Okay. I do not want to lose you. Okay, there we go.
This created an awkward query. Was I technically breaking the rules of my area lock? No, I decided not. My rules say that I can't travel to another wild zone until I catch a shiny alpha in the zone. But it did get me wondering. I've been telling various people about the project, and one of them asked, do you just move on after getting 15 or 20 normal shinies? Could it happen? Would I actually start filling boxes of normal shinies before I start seeing an alpha? I didn't want to linger on that thought. I did rotate the newer shinies I caught just in case they brought me luck. I saw alpha after alpha after alpha, but everything stubbornly refused to shine.
What do I have to do for you to be shiny, huh?
And then, when I least expected it...
Wait, no way! You're finally here! You're shiny alpha! Oh my... Come on! Yes!
3 hours in, my efforts finally bore fruit. I've never been so happy to see a Pidgey.
You know what? I think what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna call you... Surprise. It's, not very descriptive, but, you know what? I think it's only fitting.
So, I'm going to this cafe because I'm told that's what all the cool shiny hunters do. The more I look at you, the more fitting I think your name is. I was honestly expecting you to be an alpha fledgling. I was not expecting you to not perch on a chair at all. So, yeah. I really am happy you decided to show up. Surprise? We're good? Okay then. I guess we're off to Zone 2.
I gotta be upfront. I wasn't looking forward to Zone 2. I don't know, it was one of the last zones I did my random shiny hunts in, and I'm even less invested in it than Zone 1. It's just as much of a tutorial as Zone 1 is, but spread even wider. And unlike the other circular parks, I feel it's even more awkward to move around in. Mostly because... Yeah. Technically, Badoo fleeing wasn't that bad, but there was always the chance I accidentally chase a shiny away. And the fewer Pokemon there are on the field, the likelier I was going to get nothing but shiny Magikarp. Still, if I let Zone 2 beat me here, there's no way I'd survive grinding the tougher zones. So it was time for an extended fishing session. And I do mean extended. Sure, there were non-Magikarp shinies showing up for me.
Oh, okay, that is nice.
But they were clearly going to be the exception, not the rule. That's not to say I didn't have fun with it though. Okay, now I can't take this footage now. That is yet another... I said that is yet another... shiny Magikarp. Huh? Wait. Okay. And even then, the novelty wore out quick. With how many Alpha Magikarp were dropping left and right, leaping at me from the water, I was sure that at some point one of them would shine for me. And yet, nothing did. Combined with the pitter-patter of little Badoo feet reminding me I failed yet another self-check, I got pretty annoyed. Could you shine, please? How many of you guys have I chased away, huh? Even the other non-Magikarp stubbornly refused to sparkle. Days passed into nights, into days, and Magikarp was starting to look less like a Pokemon and more like an entree. If I caught a shiny Alpha Magikarp, I told myself I was going to call it something like Chippy, Beer Batter, Deep Fry. And in the end... Oh my god! Oh my god! Okay, what's a good one for you? No, not now, buddy. No, now. Okay, Moonball. Okay. Go! No. Yes! Let's go! I couldn't believe my luck. I don't think I could have asked for anything better from Zone 2. If the people from Site Mission 100 could see me now, they'd probably make me their leader. Your name is Yanagi. Wikipedia says that this is a name of a very popular knife for fish. And you have no idea how many fish I've been wanting to gut just to get here. You know, they actually have coffee here that's called Robustario. I think it's like this was meant to be. I would have been alright if I just got a shiny Alpha Magikarp, but you might just have one of the most unique, glorious shiny pellets for Generation 1 Pokemon. Well, aren't you an excitable little guy? I'm happy you're here with me, Yanagi. I really am. Ready to move on to Zone 3? Zone 3 needs little introduction. We've all heard the complaints about how Zone 3 ruined shiny hunting, and while I've never seen those comments for myself, I'd have to admit that Zone 3 is shiny farming on easy mode. For one very big reason in the corner of the map. Which is why I decided this challenge wouldn't involve that. I'd still have to check every Pokemon before going up and down the tower. No rubber banding the Joy-Con, no going to sleep while the game plays itself, no farming 340 tower shinies like CandyEvie did. Not that it stopped me from finding my own shiny alpha fletchling back in the day. And if Zone 3 was going to be the easiest time I have during this challenge, I'd gladly take it. What I was hoping for, ironically enough, was for the alpha fletching on top to not be shiny. Call it a flex, going for a win more moment, making myself miserable for the sake of content. I mean, I didn't get shiny alpha fletchling on Magikarp, so why not? Zone 3's variety of Pokemon is pretty respectable. Okay, I should probably rearrange my balls. Okay, let's not make that mistake again. Why couldn't the Zone 3 Shiny Alpha be anything besides the most obvious options? So I ran my laps around the park, torn between hoping that the Shiny Alpha would come quickly, and hoping that it wouldn't be...
What do I... Okay, yeah, sure, I'm not even surprised by this. Let's go. Yeah. What am I gonna call you then?
I couldn't say that I didn't see this happening, and yet I didn't have it in me to have a bigger reaction. I wasn't mad, I wasn't disappointed, I was just... okay. I wanted a chaser and I got it. And I was going to treat this shiny alpha like all the rest.
Okay. I think I know what to call you. Your name is... Multi-Shot. Because you're based off your theme after an arrow, and let's be honest, everyone's got so many of you. let's hit up a cafe.
Look, I'm sorry about the lackluster reaction. It's not you, it's me. You're still a very cool looking shiny. And if you weren't so easy to get, I'm not sure I might have started on this journey at all. I wouldn't think it was possible to actually try and shiny hunt alphas. Will you forgive me, Multishot? I'm going to take that as a yes. Thank you, Multishot. Thank you. Well, I think it's time we moved on to Zone 4.
Tetrophobics, beware. Honestly, I like it when games do numeric puns like this. The thing is, even back then, I didn't go through Zone 4 if I didn't need to. At this point in the early game, most of the Pokemon here are hostile and persistent. I might start getting sent to the Pokemon Center if I'm not careful. So it was time for me to play my own Tomb Raider experience. I also took some time to pay respects to AZ while I was there. Little did I know, he and I were going to become the best of friends. Sure, I was more than happy to shiny hunt for Spinarak, one of the few shinies I didn't have yet. And I didn't have long to wait.
Oh, sweet! Yeah! Nice, nice. Finally I have a shiny Spinarak. That was good, that was good.
I felt like this was a good sign. Pokemon were plentiful here, even if most of them wanted to end me. I enjoyed the opportunity to walk around the cemetery and notice things I hadn't before. Patrat roaming the grounds like mini gravekeepers, Spinarak all lining up when the time of day changed. And surely, I just catch a dozen shinies or so and move on, right? I was so wrong. One dozen shinies became 2 dozen shinies. I was barely a fifth of the way into this challenge and I didn't know whether I was blessed or cursed. I must have run past the chapel countless times, with the Spinarak family looking at me like some gothic clan praying for my downfall.
Oh, the creepy and the kooky, the scary and spooky, they're all together, rookie and none of you are shiny.
Overdramatic? Maybe, but at this point, my patience and sanity were being stretched. If the Ghastly weren't going to hit me with their confusion, I was definitely going to hit myself in mine.
I felt a whole box of Zone 4 shinies and still no shiny alpha. Let that sink in.
The zone seemed to think so, even weirdly holding me in place at the entrance at one point.
Yeah, that was really odd.
I imagine the old couple outside must have wanted to call the cops multiple times, or ask if I needed to talk to someone. And I was starting to doubt if I'd ever be able to move on. Either I'd find a shiny Alpha Spinarak or Ghastly before I lost my mind, or they're going to make me AZ's new neighbor.
No way! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! I got it. No. It's finally here. It's finally here. It's finally here. It's finally happened. I don't even care that you're yet another shiny Ekans. You are coming with me! And I can finally leave this graveyard. I can finally say goodbye to AZ.
Was I annoyed that I got yet another shiny Ekans, besides the 9 I already had from hyperspace holes? Not in the slightest. By now, I was just happy I could finally step back into the world of the living.
Well, you're not a Spinarak, but I think I have the perfect name for you.
You and Zone 4 have been nothing less than a stranglehold on me. And I mean that in the most positive way, somehow. So, I'm still trying to process this. I genuinely thought that I was going to be stuck in that graveyard forever. And then you came along, and... Whoa. Please don't eat my face. But yeah, you came along, and instead of strangling me and holding on to me, I guess you were my ticket out of there. Maybe it's not what you are shiny hunting, it's what you need to shiny hunt. Does that make sense to you? Well, whatever you think. I'm happy you're hearing me, Stranglehold. I'm going to need all the support I get. Zone 5 is definitely one of the most unique zones in this game. It's incredibly spacious and sits between two other zones, including one immediately visible when you travel to it, which poses a very important question. What happens if I see a shiny in Zone 16? What if it's an alpha? Does catching one break the area lock rule I set for myself? I even considered going to a different warp nearby and taking a longer route just to avoid Zone 16. But that would take me past Zone 20, and I'd be risking spawning a shiny there anyway. So let's clarify. The area lock prevents me from going to Zone 6 until I catch a shiny alpha in Zone 5. If I ignored shiny Pokemon in Zone 16, then I'll be breaking the rule of how many shiny Pokemon do I see. So shiny Zone 16 Pokemon within range qualify for Zone 5 shinies. That's my compromise. And this explanation's gone long enough already, just like navigating Zone 5. I had my concerns going in, but actually running laps around this place magnified the challenges I experienced. Climbing around just to reach spawn areas, Pokemon who disappear on you, and Pokemon who pursue you relentlessly.
How you like them apples?
I like apples, but these apples are terrible!
I knew shinies were going to be few and far between, so when one did come, it made the experience all the sweeter.
Okay, I'm not gonna complain. I am supposed to find shinies.
But coming off how Zone 4 wore me out, the challenge of Zone 5 weighed on me. Was I neglecting something? What if this took longer than Zone 4 did? And what if I was spawning Zone 16 shinies without realizing it?
Okay, yeah. That's pretty amazing. A Zone 16 shiny. Well, I've only got, one Zone 5 shiny. That's genuinely impressive.
I had no other way. All I could do was hope that consistency and diligence would pay off. And it did.
Oh, okay.
I even got the shiny Electrike I was missing. Though this was probably the point where I'd have to switch to using Great Balls. And I got to see one of the weirdest wild behaviors I've seen so far in this game.
Wait, huh? Who? Huh? Where do you come from? Where are you going?
But ultimately, it didn't take away from the fact that Zone 5 would test my resolve, punishing me for my own self-imposed rules. I knew I could be running the Zone 5 marathon for weeks, maybe months.
I don't even want to know how that ever despawned. Okay, shiny now? That was quick. That was very quick. If the Alpha Bellsprout just turned shiny, I'm not going to scream. I am going to make old person noises. Is probably what's gonna happen. In all honesty, I'm not gonna complain about being able to move away from this one. Oh my gosh! No way! No way! It really is! I thought I was going to spend days, weeks. Let's go!
Even now, I'm still stunned at how relatively quick that all happened. I almost forgot to have a reaction. I was just pleased that I was able to move on.
Yeah, I have an idea. Cavendish, that's your name.
I'll admit, now that you're here next to me, I think I've got a better appreciation for Shiny Bellsprout. Unfortunately, they only have Sinus tea here, not any kind of herbal tea. You don't mind, do you? You don't? That's great. I could not tell you how glad I am to see you show up so quickly. And now that I'm a quarter done with this challenge. You're right. I should probably move on. In my opinion, Zone 6 is a refinement on what Zone 5 set out to do. A reasonably complex map without overly convoluted pathways, but also showing the player that the gloves have truly come off for wild zones. Alpha Houndoom was always there, staking territory for its pack. If I had a reason why I didn't visit Zone 6 more often, this dog was why. But this gave me a reason to rediscover Zone 6 for myself. I completely forgot that Alpha Pikachu was here too, along with a Holovator. Not to mention the hillsides holding Bellsprout, the Elemental Monkeys, Haunter, and all the Pokeballs I completely skipped over. With this many Pokemon in range, this might easily turn into a huge bounty of Shinies before the Shiny Alpha. But I was confident. With 3 Alphas on the map, I was certain that the odds of a Shiny Alpha was solid. So I got ready to settle in for a long yet satisfying hunt. Wait, no way! This is footage 1! 25 minutes in, and... This is insane! Oh my... Let's freaking go! Man! If I thought getting Cavendish the Shiny Alpha Bellsprout was insanely lucky, this completely flipped the Zone 4 slog on its head. Back and forth. Several times at that. Maybe my laps going up and down reset the spawns more frequently than I expected. But theory didn't matter. The Shiny did. So I had to look this up. And this is honestly a pretty good nickname. I am going to butcher the pronunciation, but this means cotton candy in French, roughly, and is also the name of a character that looks like cotton candy. And I think it's perfect. Barbapapa. Did I actually pronounce that right? I don't know. Someone in the comments is probably going to point out that I didn't. Assuming anyone actually watches this. But you know what? I think this is where things are really starting to turn around. Or maybe they might just get worse. I don't know. I guess I'm still stunned by the fact that you're here. You're right. You're right, Barbara Papa. The show has to go on. And I'm glad that you're here joining the show with me. I think it's time we moved on to Zone 7. I thought Zone 7 would be a refreshing change of pace after the last 3 zones. No climbing, no parkour, just a circle to do small laps in. Or, realistically, a semicircle was often enough to verify everything within the zone. If I got into trouble, there were 5 exits to get away from the alpha swarms. And there were still more things for me to discover, like the alpha Swirlix hanging out 1 rooftop away. Was there a chance that I'd see the Swirlix turn shiny before the Zone 7 shiny alpha? Okay, Yep. I am glad to see you. Of all things here, I'm definitely very happy with shiny Vanilla. I really didn't know what to expect. If Zones 4 to 6 had taught me anything, it was that anything could happen. Maybe it was the map's size, but alphas didn't seem to show up often. At least it meant that I could use fast travel more frequently. I just needed to make sure that I didn't accidentally spook any Audino, or fail to check for shinies in the central courtyard before they disappear with the time of day. Wait a minute. Oh! Wait! That might actually be it! Please stay in. Stay in. Please. Oh, no. No. Okay, you're angry and that's not good. That's not good. I am actually on a time limit here. This thing is going to vanish when the sun sets. Come on, stay in. Stay in. Yes! Let's go! Now, I'm hardly an expert at shiny colors. I would probably get smoked if I ever took part in one of Dokimon's quizzes, but I was so proud I managed to notice that. Time of day shaders can make it hard for me to tell some of the shinies apart, so I thought this was pretty notable. So, I was thinking, instead of doing the obvious and naming you after a desert or a sand formation, well, I wasn't really super pressed for time, but I think Hourglass is a cool name for you. So it turns out that Nouveau Cafe number 3 was the closest cafe near Zone 7. You don't mind, do you, Hourglass? Oh, that's good. You know, thinking about it, I'm actually making pretty good time. 2 to 3 days for a shiny hunt? Maybe this won't take months. Well, I mean, disregarding the rest of actual life getting in the way, but I like to think I'm making good pace. Things are only gonna get more tough, more challenging from here. Yeah, you think so? Nothing I can do but soldier on, right? Yeah, I'm gonna need that strength for the zones to come. Zone 8 holds a special place in my heart. It's the zone where I got my first full art shiny, a Gibble, who you can see is now a Gabite. I heard the shiny noise during the Sandy Gas side quest and I genuinely panicked, thinking that the quest would override my shiny. Before hyperspace made shiny hunting easy, this is what encouraged me to grind out the requirements for the shiny charm. On the other hand, Zone 8 is also where the game takes aggression and pumps it up even further. Most Pokemon in this zone will come after me, and unlike Zone 6, there are fewer places for refuge. Still, I imagine shinies could be plentiful, even if they wouldn't come easy. And I had no idea how much I'd be tested.
Please tell me that's not... It actually is. I get a shiny Pidgey before I get a Zone 8 shiny. Okay. 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 Go along, buddy. We got a long journey ahead of us.
Knowing that I'd be reloading a Pidgeiflop every time I exited the zone was one thing. But I wasn't prepared for how different Zone 8 loads its Pokemon. I already figured a route through Zone 8, one lap around the outside and a sweep around the inside. I thought this was the best way to check everything in my path. But when you're faced with Drober and Gibble willing themselves into existence as you run along, it starts to play games with your head. How many of these Pokemon was I missing? Would I need to double back? Do extra laps? Was I somehow ruining the rules of how many Pokemon would spawn in the zone? Of course, I was being silly. If a shiny Drober or Gibble did spawn, it'd stay around no matter how many laps I ran. And I needed to reload the other Pokemon anyway. In any case, there was no shortage of shiny Drober. That's what I thought. Yet, the more I ran and the more I caught, the nagging feeling of second-guessing myself wouldn't go away. Alphas didn't feel as common in this zone, and even the Krokorok wasn't a guarantee.
Okay guys, seriously, could you be shiny please?
And of course, there was the sand. Even outside my sand-kicking zone! Sand! I thought I was looking at a repeat of my Zone 4 experience. Spread out more to make up for the smaller number of Pokemon spawns. Except that wasn't the case. Things got so much worse. What commenced after shiny number 15 wasn't just a drought on shinies. It was a drought on shinies within the zone. For some reason, every re-roll I was doing ended up sparkling the Pidgey outside the second exit. I eventually started altering my route just to leave the zone through the first exit, except...
Are you? Really? Really? You guys get to be reloaded too? Oh man. I'm not proud of that. I'm not.
That's right. I didn't realize it at first, but every time I fast traveled to Zone 8, I was reloading another pair of fledgling. My Zone 8 collection was turning into an aviary I never asked for. And this was where I started to unravel. I wondered if I'd been spawning shinies outside the zone without realizing, and even took an excursion to make sure this wasn't the case. Of course, Lumio City rewarded me, or punished me, for my hubris.
This isn't even anywhere near zone... Okay, no more deviations. No more deviations. This is...
Thus, and I'm not proud to admit it, but every so often I heard Pidgey outside Zone 8. Looking at it now, I'm on the fence whether this was the right thing to do. But in that moment, after running around this killer sandbox for over a dozen hours by this point, it felt like every little bit might help. I was exhausted, worn out, from running into Zone 8, praying for more alphas to show up, and hoping that one of them would finally decide to be shiny.
How many Alpha Machop has it been? And none of them won. Oh! Oh my! Oh! Finally! Oh! I didn't think complaining would work, but it actually did. It actually... You! Get over here! You are coming! With me! You're not getting away! I can finally leave this sand pit!
I can finally get the sand out of my shoes! Did complaining actually work? Was it non-existent streamer luck? At that point, I had run out of jokes or quips. All I could think of was that Zone 8 and I needed to see other people.
I was so close to calling you Mallet. But after what just happened, I think this really is the best way to describe you, to describe what happened. Welcome to the team, Jump Scare. I guess I'm still trying to process that. All of this. The scope, how much time I'm taking. Is it going to be worth it? Yeah, maybe it is. I guess I still won't know unless I see this through. I gotta remind myself that it's about the process, not just the result. Seeing if I can still be surprised. And when you showed up, apparently I still can. Jump scare. And I'm hoping that that's still the case going forward. Going into this project, I knew Zone 9 was going to be painful. I've seen some Shiny hunters express a lack of enthusiasm for Zone 9, and even Shiny Catherine admits that she dislikes it more than Zone 17. And I could see why. Zone 9 feels as big and convoluted as Zone 5, except with even less actual space for Pokemon. Most of the Pokemon are stuck on the rooftops, and you'll be bouncing between the ground and the roof multiple times just to see everything. Small wonder that Catherine ended up using the mobile rooftop to specifically shiny hunt the Alpha Meowstic. Unfortunately for me, that's not an option in this challenge. I was going to have to scale these apartments like I was training for firefighter boot camp. Also, remembering not to accidentally... Are you serious? That gets you to... Yeah, I was prepared for this zone to drain me. It was the last zone I found a shiny in for a reason. The one upside was the route I took. One lap around the ground, climbing up to check one side, and then climbing up to check the other. If anything, at least it would encourage more potential shiny rerolls. But after Zone 8 shiny droughts, I was absolutely certain that I would go for days without even so much as a hint of...
What the? Huh? Wait. What? Am I allowed to save now? No. Oh, okay. Guy, turn around. Please, let's get this over with. Okay, sure. Frontal confrontation it is. And it didn't work. Are you serious right now? Just stay. I'm just gonna, why don't I let you work this out for a bit? I'll be back. Guy, if I had to Ultra Ball you, stay in. Stay! Yes! Finally! Ah! Let's go!
Now, I'm not proud for resorting to the repeat ball, but it's got yellow and black on it just like Shiny Manectric, and I needed a ball that actually had a functional catch rate. Either way, I was relieved. 1 hour in, this couldn't have gone any better than I would have asked for.
You have demolished plenty of balls. So, because this is also vaguely circuitry and electricity themed, thank you for not making this longer than needed to be, Breaker.
Well, you really didn't want to get caught, huh? No, I didn't really mean as criticism. I guess I'm still taken aback when you showed up. I really needed something good to happen to me. So I guess you didn't just break my Pokeballs. You broke my drought, recharged me, prepped me for more challenging captures to come. Yeah, I gotta be thankful for that. Thanks, Breaker. I think it's time we came up against the halfway point.
To me, Zone 10 feels like Zone 9, but with improvements. Sure, you got to deal with rooftops again. I can't say that I enjoy the tight passages with Carvana flying at you every moment, or having to check on the Dynamo. But unlike Zone 9, all the roofs are actually connected, meaning that doubling back is so much more efficient. And I get to check on the Arbok, Slowpoke, and Watchog a couple more times. Add 3 guaranteed alphas, and I was confident Zone 10 would come through for me. Of course, confidence could come before a fall. Zones 4 and 8 proved how easily I could come close to breaking. I needed to expect that anything could happen.
What? Wait! No! Really? Okay? I'll take it! I'll take it! I'll absolutely take it! Let's go!
2 zones in a row where the first shiny I came across was the alpha I was looking for? Now that I wasn't expecting. Was it an anticlimactic way to reach the halfway point? Maybe. I was just amazed to even be here at all.
I'm not going to go too complicated on this. I think I remember this word from Neopets more than, well, The Little Mermaid. Welcome to the team, Flotsam.
You know, I'm still stunned that I'm midway through this journey. I can't believe it's only been a month of recording shiny hunts whenever I can. And this zone went by so quickly. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared. Scared of other zones to come. It's only going to get harder from here. No, you're right. I'm not doing this alone. I've got you and the other shiny alphas I would never have met if I didn't start this project. Now let's see through the other half. Zone 11 presents some awkward situations for this challenge. It's the first zone where you can't access everything through the entrance you spawn next to. How was I going to negotiate this? I could take the long way around between Zone 11 exits, but I felt like this would be straying too far from the zone. The alternative would be traveling to Zone 6 and walking over to the other entrance instead. I felt that this was a better compromise to make sure that my shinies would be focused on Zone 11 as much as possible. If I took the long way around, I'd be re-rolling the zone Pokemon just as much as doing 2 fast travels. And I really didn't want to run the risk of catching or scaring away more Pidgey. As it turned out, this wouldn't matter. You might have noticed that my zone intro footage takes place at night this time. I usually wait until it's daytime to start recording that part, but I should let the footage speak for itself.
Okay, Zone 11 footage 1. This is gonna be interesting. Just because of the geography. Okay, Is Gyarados meant to be in the day exclusively? No, evidently not. Wait, huh? Already? I just started the zone! Okay, you can calm down, calm down. Well, that was embarrassing. Let's go!
2 minutes into recording, one of the 2 guaranteed alphas decided that 1 re-roll would be enough. I don't know whether to jump for joy or scream at the sky. With how my luck's turned out, maybe I should do both.
You know, I would call you catch of the day, but there's not enough spaces for, well, spaces. So why don't we name you after one of the most recognizable seafood dishes? Thanks for showing up, Thermidor.
What do I even say here? How can I reflect on the journey that happened in the time it took me to turn around and look? Well, I guess I could say I really appreciate that you decided to shine. Cloudwater's always been one of my favorite Generation 6 Pokemon. It's not that I don't like Dragalge, but I think you were robbed of a Mega Evolution. Yeah, sure. You can be special just for me. Thanks, Thermidor. What a way to start the second half, huh?
While I don't strictly have a preferred zone for shiny hunting, I can see why Zone 12 is a favorite for many players. I have a slight soft spot for ice types, even when most of them aren't that usable. And I'm not a fan of the cold. Zone 12 also feels like one of the most populated zones, meaning there's all the more chances a shiny alpha could show up. Wide open spaces also make it easier to find a safe spot to use fast travel. And I can't deny it, Zone 12 has been kind to me. Wow, okay, already? I'm not complaining, absolutely not. And you are not yet. Never mind then. Here you go. We're off to a good start. And let's hope it stays that way. Of the 3 shinies I caught before this challenge, 2 of them were Delibird that didn't run away. Which is more than I can say about the Delibird I was coming across. Their detection and skittishness makes the Zone 2 Budew look like extroverted partygoers. There was also the small issue of a Pidgey calling out every time I went near one of the exits. So how kind would Zone 12 be to me now? Past performance is no indicator of future success, of course. And if Zone 4 and 8 had taught me anything, I've been wrong before. All I could do was hope for the best.
Well, okay, who decided to shine? I will take you. If If all of these Snowball don't kill me... Okay guys, you're not shiny, you can cut it out.
Wait. No, seriously? Is that a third shiny Delibird? What is with these Santa birds, man? You are getting the Ultra Ball treatment, alright? I'm not risking you running. No, wait! Really? What is this shiny luck? Immediately after shiny Delibird, shiny Alpha Snorunt? If this thing decides that it wants to be a girl, it's not. I'll still take it! Let's go!
No, I wouldn't be getting a full box of shiny Snorunt like Nokimon did. And perhaps mercifully, I wasn't going to look out for a girl Shalfa Snorunt. One Shalfa was enough. It felt like Zone 12 and I had an understanding. My work here was done. And that was what mattered.
Well, you are not a cool ranch daughter. I think, anyone who's come from my side of the world will gladly remember having one of these when they were a kid. And I think it fits you. You're just an adorable little petal pop.
So, maybe getting a hot drink with an ice type might not have been the best idea. You don't mind, do you, Petal Pop? Oops. Sorry about that. You know, I always thought it was a shame Glalie wasn't a better Pokemon. It doesn't get nearly as many fans as Frostlass does. But you're alright with me. You're perfect the way you are. Just look at that smile. I think we're ready to tackle Zone 13 next.
After going through some of the most diverse zones, Zone 13 feels like a bit of a step back. Like the dev team ran out of ideas. Or it's part of the commentary on how the wild zones aren't a perfect solution for Lumiose. It's just a garden path that takes 15 seconds to check if anything's shiny, trading the number and variety of available Pokemon for more efficient fast traveling. And honestly, there are some great options for shiny hunting here.
Nice! Nice! Oh, that's not ideal.
That said, not everything is smooth sailing in this zone. If any of the Vivian decide to go alpha, I won't be simply fast traveling in the middle of the zone. At nighttime, everything can and will come after you. Those Heracross are seriously light sleepers, no wonder they're a dozing type in Pokemon Sleep. Still, if there was a time for my shiny luck to take a dive, this wouldn't be the worst place to do it in. I felt that, at the very least, I'd be reloading alphas often enough. And they did, just not the one that I hoped.
Oh, baby, a triple!
Now, I haven't been keeping track of how many alphas showed up, but Vivian aside, Weepinbell seemed to be the most common. Not helped by the fact that there was already a guaranteed alpha. I can't lie, of all the Pokemon in this zone, Shiny Weepinbell interested me the least. I already caught Shiny Alpha Bellsprout in Zone 5, and compared to its evolutionary relatives, Shiny Weepinbell feels the least impressive. So of course, it was time for the Magikarp problem to show up. The issue wasn't just the fact that half my Shinies were Weepinbell. On average, I get 2 Shinies every hour. After running down this path for 7 hours, getting 11 Shinies felt like I was going under odds. Or maybe the repetition of this part was starting to weigh on me. Or the fact that Heracross and Vivian were refusing to shine, even once. I thought to myself, I was probably going to see a Shiny Alpha before I saw a Shiny Heracross.
Wait. It really is! Shiny Alpha Weepinbell! Yeah, none of you actually. Okay, Pinsir. Okay, Pinsir, you could go away. Go away. Go away. You had your chance. You're coming along, buddy. You and I are leaving this park, this forest. Let's go!
I can't say I was overly enthusiastic about this result. But I wasn't disappointed. 7 hours, 12 Shinies, it could have been a lot worse. And at least, I was now allowed to move on.
You know, I am sorely tempted to name you Bleepinbell. But no, the sad fact of the matter is that you are not a very impressive Shiny. Just maybe a slightly different yellow. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna call you after someone who I know wears a lot of yellow, is kinda unremarkable, but also never gives up. Say hi, Charlie.
Now that I look at you, Charlie seems like a better reference than I initially thought. Yellowish body, showing up everywhere, and a mouth stuck in a perpetual yell. A volumetric mouth, if you will.
Ugh!
I can't bring myself to feel bad about you. Charlie Brown was the kid I rooted for. And good old Charlie Brown never gave up. Maybe that's why we found each other. I'm ready to move on too, Charlie.
Zone 14 is a strange one for me. It's visually unique and has a decent variety of Pokemon. And yet, I don't remember visiting it often for random shiny hunting. Probably because there's only one entrance to the zone and not many safe places to dodge. It's no Zone 8 at least, despite the Droba, because here they actually have the courtesy to spawn in predefined locations. And the map layout is straightforward. One lap around the power plant to check everything, trying to avoid rocks and sand thrown in my general direction. Side note, does anyone else think it's strange that the electrical substation is largely populated by non-electric types? Ghost types in the graveyard, I get. But I'm surprised Lumio's blackouts aren't a plot point with so much sand and dirt and rocks strewn around this place. What I'm trying to seg into is, I was not having much luck with the shinies in this area. Shiny number 1 was over an hour in.
Whoa! Shiny Moga! Okay, I don't think you run. But let's just make absolutely sure.
I was starting to worry. Was I going to have a Zone 8 situation again? Was I reloading more shinies outside the zone and not realizing it? I could hear a Pidgey squawking outside. And in fact, the first Zone 14 adjacent shiny I caught was the Magikarp swimming in the canal. Which meant that I had to check if...
Okay,
Okay, I suppose I asked for that to happen. The more I check, the more shinies I get.
Yep. I was afraid that Zone 14 was going to be another one of those dreaded experiences. It wasn't as if the zone was lacking for alphas. Aron, Drober, Onyx, Emolga, even Heliotal wanted a piece of me. Even the 3 Excadrill in the middle decided to alpha up a couple of times. 4 hours passed with 4 shinies, and I wasn't sure how much longer my power would last.
Wait. That's it! That's what I've been... Yes! You're coming with me, bucko! Well, now that was anticlimactic. I'm just gonna run.
One reference later.
Let's go!
You know, I was prepared for another Weepinbell or Drillbur infestation. I wasn't sure which would be worse. Floods of shinies I wasn't into, or no shinies at all. So this guy showing up was an absolute blessing.
Right, unfortunately I can't call you Diggy Diggy Hole. And it doesn't make sense to call you Winter Saga, which is where that song cover came from. But I think I like this name the best. I'm sorry, I've never listened to any of the albums before Winter Saga, but I think Troll Slayer fits you.
I'm surprised they actually served the coffee sushi combo here. You know, after the side quest to make it went horribly right. Which also explains the crowd here. And now I want actual sushi with coffee. You're a go-getter, aren't you, Troll Slayer? I guess you thought enough was enough and your time had come. Though not without some convincing. I had an Excadrill who carried my playthrough team, so I'm glad you decided to show up. Yeah. I guess it's time for Zone 15. Oh boy, is it time for Zone 15. If there was a zone that would punish me for the conditions of my own challenge, Zone 15 was one of them. That's not to say it was the only one. I knew that forcing myself to check every Pokemon at least once would come back to bite me. What I didn't know at first was that Zone 15 would qualify, and I only realized this after thinking a little more about it. Just by putting 2 Larvitar on a rooftop and making it part of the zone, every full lap of checking meant that I needed to go up to a rooftop and verify, which I didn't like. It felt inefficient to me, and it ran ever greater risk of shinifying Pokemon outside the zone. Elemental monkeys on the treetops, a fledgling in the distance, sounds of Pidgey and Bellsprout in my ear, and then... Am I meant to see that Haunter over there? Now, I had genuinely no idea if that faraway Haunter would be re-rolled every single time, but I thought the fact that I could see it meant that it could be shiny. Legend ZA is supposed to make shiny Pokemon visible from further away. At least that was what I was led to believe. Which meant that when I found that it wasn't shiny, I'd be assured that I wasn't leaving anyone out. But I had wasted more time. Time I could have spent reloading the zone. And boy did I need those reloads. Alphas were absolutely everywhere in this zone. So much so that not only did I see 3 Alpha Beedrill, but one of them didn't even know what to do with itself and kept flying upwards. There was also the fact that almost every Pokemon disappears when the time of day changes. The only Pokemon that are always here are the Alpha Gorgeist and the 2 Larvitar. I was at risk of whiffing a shiny just from the passage of time. Sure, Zone 15 size meant that even with so many aggressive Pokemon after me, I was probably safe. But with how many Alphas could spawn, and how many Alpha screams were echoing in my ears, I was actively starting to nurse a headache. The Dawn and Dust shaders meant that I was also starting to confuse normal Pumpkaboo, Larvitar, and Haunter for shinies. Capping it all off with absolutely 0 shinies in 2 hours, my patience and temperament were running incredibly thin.
Don't look at me like that.
I was the most under odds I'd been this entire challenge, and I was desperate for something to put me out of my misery.
It finally happened. No shinies for 3 hours. For 3 hours. Let's freaking go!
I didn't have too much to react at that point. The time of day was going to change soon, and if I didn't get that Beedrill in time, I'd have to say goodbye to it forever. So, fighting an ache at the left side of my skull and trying not to aggro anything I didn't need to, I made my move. 3/4 of this challenge done.
So I got the perfect name for you. I'm not gonna pick any medical terms, any poisoning terms. I'm just gonna name you something I use for one of my Generation 7 playthroughs, and it just encapsulates how much nothing happened during the zone before you showed up. Buzzkill, you are not worth the ultimate coffee experience. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry, but am I the only one who thinks the photo mode in this cafe is the worst for finding an angle to film from? And now my character model is emoting. It's great for variety, but how am I supposed to script this section and have it sync with my character? It's not your fault, Buzzkill. You're an awesome shiny alpha. I actually like the highlighter green shade that Beedrill gets when shiny. And in the grand scheme of things, you dropped by when I needed it, not when I wanted it. So, thanks, you know? Also, I'm sorry about saying you're not worth $1 million coffee, but that place just annoys me on principle. Yeah. I think it's time we moved on too.
If I had to pick a favorite out of all the wild zones, I have no idea where to place Zone 16.
It's a straightforward circular park with a lot of space to run around in, which lets me stick to the edges, because I'd really rather not risk scaring the Froakie away at all. Zone 16 was also a zone I really wanted to get to in my playthrough, largely because I decided on Failings as my last team member. And if I had to pick a favorite most common shiny Pokemon to get from zones, there really is no contest.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, okay. I do appreciate the early shiny.
The problem is, that's where a lot of the variety of Zone 16 ends. Half the available Pokemon only show up in one corner of the map, overseen by Alpha Ampharos, and they also vanish with the time of day. Not to mention, there would be also a couple of fledglings just hanging around, waiting to turn a shade of pale orange.
There's really no two ways to say it. Alphas in this zone are just not great. I maybe see 1 or 2 additional alpha failings and... yeah, it... huh? Oh no, 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 no! Why does it have to be you?
Would I call Zone 16 the most well-designed zone? Maybe not. It just felt very okay. Balanced. Almost to a fault. At the very least, my shiny rates were finally feeling healthy again. Even if some of those shinies were...
I really have no idea how much of Zone 5 I can see. Mostly because if I try to take my time observing that place, Ampharos is gonna... Are you kidding me right now? Another... okay. A shiny's a shiny.
Okay, maybe I was being a little harsh. And sure, alphas felt very infrequent compared to previous zones. But all things considered, I had very little to complain about Zone 16. It wasn't the most exciting zone, but it didn't need to be. After what I'd been through and knowing what was ahead, I needed a chaser. The experience felt cozy, and failings would be there to cheer me on every so often. The chocolate-colored rascals. No, seriously, there are just so many of them. I was wondering when I'd start to get sick of the little bonbons. If I didn't get a shiny alpha failings, I would be very, very surprised. I figured it would happen, and I'm glad that it finally did. Okay, okay, failings. You're not gonna let me pick a ball right now, so, yeah, sure. Okay, I'm just gonna... okay. Now let's see if you want to stay in, Ampharos. Oh, that did not look good. But you stayed anyway! Let's go! Okay, admittedly, this was the second likeliest outcome. But I didn't mind. Outside recording, I've been fighting a sore throat and infection for half a week. So, seeing the Alpha Ampharos turn shiny, half an hour after I started getting back into the grind, that was what I needed to see. Okay, I don't really have the brain to be anything other than incredibly basic right now. Still coming off from that brief cold, flu, whatever. So this is what I'm going with. Thanks for showing up, Blueberry. Well, I can't say you're not predictable. But you're a good shiny, Blueberry. After grinding for half a week and falling sick for another half, you came at the right time. Okay, yeah, I probably annoyed your relatives multiple times, treading on your tail, running past them, and saying that Fluffy had a poor shiny by comparison. All forgiven? I was hoping you'd say that. Now that I'm looking at the home stretch, I need all the encouragement I can get.
Imagine taking the molehills of Zone 8, the verticality of Zone 9, unique Pokemon across day and night, then cranking the hazards up to 11 in a smaller space. You've got Zone 17, which, funnily enough, is the sum of 8 and 9, so maybe that was another numbers joke by the developers. Yes, this was the part I've been dreading the most. If any zone was going to send me to the ER, it would be this one. Most Pokemon here don't just want to attack you. They want to end you. Especially the Pride of Pyro stalking the middle of the zone. All of them will spam Earth Power and hit you hard, no matter where you are. And quietly sneaking past them at night was not an option for me, because I had to check all the Diggersby and Chespin, and they would end up waking the Pyro anyway. I wasn't just shiny hunting. No, I was being hunted.
I was probably going to get more hospital trips than shinies from this zone.
Oh, no, no, no! And that's hospital visit number 1.
I needed to find a rhythm, a pattern, an approach to surviving Zone 17. If I dived off the rooftop for the nearest exit, I'd be buried alive by the pyro waiting for me, like beasts in a pit. The rooftops did technically provide a way out, letting me check Klefki, Lampen, and Alpha Mobile safely. But even that wasn't a complete failsafe.
Oh, come on! Gosh.
I eventually decided that there wasn't much of a difference. I wouldn't be saving that much time going out of my way to avoid the pyro.
As long as I was careful to avoid Earth Power, checked every Pokemon, including the Skarmory, and timed my rooftop jumping just right, I'd be fine.
This still didn't feel great. Not helped by the random Pokemon noises I was hearing from outside the zone. Besides the fletchling I could see, I was hearing Bellsprout, Magikarp, Pidgey, Ghastly. This was almost certainly going to be an ordeal of a zone.
What the? Wow, okay, you are very shiny, and I am very much in danger. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this. I am going to get you to calm down. We're going to Axel, alright? Let's go and let's get out of here!
Looking back, I've basically been shiny hunting the guaranteed alphas in every zone since 13. But next to Zone 11's Clawitzer, this one came fast and furious. Completely out of the blue. Maybe I've been too critical of Zone 17. It did give me 4 shinies for my efforts in the past. Maybe I just needed to give it a chance. All this time.
So, why did Simba's father die? Because he couldn't move faster! No, even I'm not that cruel. I think you deserve something considerably more respectful. So why don't we go with this? Torchbearer?
I can still barely believe it. 50 minutes. That's how long it took for you to show up, without any other shinies. I didn't come out of it unscathed, but still. I thought I had to edit in a whole montage of me getting sent to the hospital. It's like we kinda respect each other. Yeah, I agree. We challenge each other, challenge ourselves, and look at what we were able to accomplish. I know that doesn't mean the rest will be easy. No. What lies ahead might be an even bigger struggle. I alluded to it during my Zone 15 section, but I'm finally here. Of all the zones I thought I'd be most annoyed with, it had to be Zone 18. There's just no contest. It doesn't feel like a zone as much as it feels like a hastily abandoned construction project. And this is why. Just to check everything, including 2 bits of roof, I have to do this obstacle course. Just, who thought this was a good idea? Was a Hollow Vader like in Zone 6 and 15 not an option? Why put a Fennekin just out of reach of the camera so I have to enter the zone just to check it? You can see that by this point in my personal playthrough, I didn't even bother with the Pokeball strewn around the map. Of course, enforced parkour wasn't the only problem I knew I'd face. There are just not a lot of Pokemon in this zone. And from PM7's 100 Pokeballs challenge video, I knew there was a back alley of trees swarming with Weedle. And out of zone shiny infestation was absolutely on the cards here. So, part of me knew it couldn't be completely bad. After all, Shiny Catherine mentioned that she'd found 5 shiny Alpha Salamence in her time. And I was honestly steadier on the scaffolding than I thought I'd be, save for 1 or 2 slip-ups. The only question was, when would a shiny pop up for me?
Wait. Oh my. We are gonna be very careful. I really don't want you to disappear. So if Altaria can calm down and not kill me. Actually, Fennekin, you don't be really good. You could just turn around. Okay, Altaria, cut. That is an amazing shiny.
Okay, I was not expecting to get one of the rarest, riskiest shiny spawns. That really put a spring in my step. I even went and got the Stone HTN that I completely neglected. Still, I couldn't possibly get that lucky with...
That is the best possible outcome! Holy! I'm basically speechless. Let's try not to die. Be my friend? Oh no, you do, you wanna turn around, please? Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Oh, oh, come on. That was bad. Oh, oh no. Let's go!
Doing this challenge has really forced me to look at things in a different way. Zones that I thought I enjoy end up frustrating me. Zones that I thought I dread end up giving my most favorite moments. Now that I was finished with the zone I thought would be my biggest hurdle, I could only wonder, what would the last 10% of the challenge even be like? So, hear me out on this. You are red and green. You're kinda stuck in a corner. I had to really navigate my way through this zone. So... And I honestly want something that sounds pretty cool for you. Maybe plenty of people might disagree, but I kinda like this word, and I just think it fits you. Welcome aboard, Gridlock. I mean, that was pretty insane. And I've had some absolutely bonkers luck in this challenge, especially during the times when I needed it. I've been running the full spectrum of shiny luck and emotional response, and finally, I feel like the end of the tunnel is right there. And you are an absolutely amazing shiny, Gridlock. Okay, it's not all sunshine and rainbows going forward. Wild zones are wild zones, and there's still the process of putting everything together. But what I can say is, I'm thankful for how these last few zones have been. Time to revisit an old haunt. How many shinies would I see before I saw a shiny alpha? Funnily enough, Zone 19 was the only zone that could help me answer that question. It was 3. This Clefairy is the only shiny alpha I got from a wild zone before this challenge. Even then, it wasn't intentional. I was mostly aiming for shiny Clefairy purely to make someone else jealous. And also because it gave me a reason to hunt shinies at night. I was aiming for Vivian during the day. After the Pyroar of 17 and Parkour of 18, Zone 19 feels like a palate cleanser before the endgame. But it still can't avoid the feeling that the dev team's planning started to really come apart at the seams. Why put Furfrou and Audino here again? Why make Drampa the only Pokemon that's locked to a quarter of daytime? Why is this the first wild zone where Eevee and Cleffa appear when they've already been running around the rooftops? Or maybe I was just annoyed at having to run around Audino again. Or check for Eevee in between bushes and thorns that keep regrowing. Or maybe I was just overthinking things again after the last few zones had been so merciful with the shinies. Oh. I hear the shiny, but I don't... Okay, guys, let's be rational about this, right? None of you inside the zone are shiny. Which means that... Here, maybe? Please don't be something that can fly or run away. Oh. Yeah, Petra, you can just run away. I am okay with you. I don't think I've had a single one of you this entire challenge, so, I will take variety. Now, let's actually finish checking the rest of the zone, alright? The truth was, all I could do was accept what the fates wrote for me. An army of shiny Zone 19 Furfrou wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And who knows, maybe shiny Drampa or Eevee would show up for me along the way. At this point, I was ready for anything.
No! Really? I really do have the shiny luck! Let's go!
Well, maybe not completely ready for anything. I recalled a fellow Pokemon Go gym taker who once suggested to me that once you get a shiny of something, the game keeps giving you the same thing. It's fated, they remarked. And with the penultimate wild zone now conquered, I was inclined to believe that maybe it was.
You know, funny as it would be to name you after the person that I know you would make absolutely envious, Yeah, I'm not here to dox anyone. But seeing that I already have a shiny Alpha Clefairy from this zone, I think calling you a twin would be a great thing to do. So I'm going to name you after the twins in the stars. Gemini.
It's finally here, isn't it, Gemini? This journey of plunging through wild zones, it's finally coming to an end. It sounds trite, but I didn't think I'd make it this far. There were points where I thought I might actually have to take a break. You could not have told me 2 months ago that I'd find myself here. Yeah, you're right. Being able to see things, interactions, Pokemon I otherwise wouldn't have, I think that's what really made this all worth it. Also, actually capturing footage that doesn't look like it was pushed through a cell phone camera. Give me strength. I'm going to need it. The time had come. The final stretch of my Area Lock Shiny Alpha Challenge, and I was hoping for some redemption. Remember when I said Alpha Clefairy was my only Wild Zone Shiny Alpha? That wasn't entirely accurate. Still, it might as well be because, just look at this. I don't dislike Simicia as a Pokemon. I think it forms a hilarious comedy duo with Pansear. But who decided that Simicia's shiny needed to be this barely noticeable? This thing makes Garchomp's shiny look like Charizard's. Anyway, my goal didn't change. See how many shinies I would get on the road to a shiny alpha. With how often I ran past Zone 20, I already had a decent trove of shiny Pokemon. 6 shinies, including the Alpha Simicia, plus a Malamar I'd found while testing my recording equipment before Pokemon Home compatibility. But this would leave me with no space to carry the shinies I caught during this challenge. There was really only one choice. The only shiny with a permanent seat would be the Alpha Simicia. And hopefully, this final zone would be our redemption arc. Shiny Charmander? Come along, buddy. Coming into the zone, I thought Zone 20 would feel more like a final boss. Something for me to overcome. And in a sense, it wasn't. Most Pokemon attack you in this zone, but with so much open space to move around in, it doesn't really feel threatening at all. No. The real challenge was to my patience, my stamina, and my sanity. I thought I'd seen it all with the last few zones, but Zone 20 was where my insistence on following my own rules was sorely tested. Just to check everything in the zone instead of just reloading Tower Alphas, I was running enough laps to shave inches off my waist. Trying not to scare off the Gardevoir or send an army of Alphas baying for my blood. I don't know what it is with Zone 20, but when shiny droughts hit, they really hit. Who? Okay. Yeah, it's been... I genuinely forgot what it was like to get a shiny. At one point, I was going 3 full hours without a zone shiny, because... Just couldn't help yourself, could you? Also, for some reason, not a single Pokemon in the wreckage corner wanted to shine. But what maybe wore me down the most was the Pokemon under the tower. I didn't strictly need a Tower Shiny to finish the challenge, but a Tower Shiny was still more likely than a non-Tower Alpha turning shiny. There were just so many Pokemon who don't have easily noticeable shinies from a distance, and the shadows don't really help either. Garchomp, Electros, Leafeon, but most of all, this guy.
Every time Simicia showed up, I felt my heart skip a beat. Half hoping that I could continue looking for something better, and half hoping that it was shiny just so I could end it all. 1 hour became 5, became 10, became 15. I was living through my zones 4 and 8 experiences, and I didn't even have as many shinies to show for it. And that was when I remembered. And not just Team MZ waiting for me to come home. I remembered the other shiny alphas, who I only met because I started this journey. I knew. I owed it to them, to myself, to see this to the end. And so I soldiered on, pounding the pavement, rain or shine, day and night. The hours and days ticked on. The tower refreshed its spawns. Would I have a full box before I saw a shiny alpha? No, that's... Oh my! It's finally over? This journey? No, oh no, this might take a while. Oh no, Stami, don't you start! It's finally over. It's finally over. By this point, it had been almost a full week of spare time, running through Zone 20 whenever I could. I was maybe at half my mental capacity, and again, sometimes I struggle with how shadows affect shiny colors. So Barbarical was truly a surprise. I genuinely had almost no words. All I could think of was how my journey was finally at its end. You know, for a hot moment, I actually did consider calling you Redemption. Just because, you know, you're not shiny Simicia. But honestly, I think as the last shiny alpha, you deserve something more impactful, something more significant. And then I thought, Barbarical is basically a whole bunch of individuals assembling. But then again, I thought of another team of heroes. And I think this really best describes the journey I've been on, how you make me feel. And that's just incredible. Look at you. Just look at you. This is how it all ends. With a team of angry barnacles. I still don't quite know what to say besides, well, Barbarical was one of the more intriguing designs from Carlos, I thought. If anyone deserved the Mega Evolution, it was you. Not really one for expression, I see. I guess you do have 7 barnacles to manage. It's okay.
I can hardly believe it myself. I'm not sure my mind's completely processed it yet. But there is one thing that I absolutely have to do for you. Now that is really, truly incredible. When I started this shiny hunt, I thought I wanted to ask myself one question. But really, it turned out to be much more than that. I thought to myself, do we actually need more shiny hunting content? Who am I to stand on the shoulders of so many giants? How would I fit a long-term hunt into my life? How could I make a story compelling, and who would want to listen? Was I starting something that I couldn't end? And honestly, after going through the process myself, I don't think I can answer all these questions. But what I can say is that after 93 hours and 39 minutes, 4 months of planning and editing, getting recording and processing hardware, and yes, 160 shinies later, I was able to finish my Area Lock Shiny Alpha Pokemon Legends ZA challenge. I don't know where I'm going from here, but if there's one thing I've learned from this experience, it's to keep asking questions. You may be surprised with the answers you find. And if you've been along for the ride, thank you so much for crossing paths with me. I don't know if I'll be back, but for now, maybe it's time I took a break from...
The train is here!